Sir Walter Jones.
Who is it?
Sir Walter Jones.
What's his name?
Sir Walter Jones.
Whose show is this?
Sir Walter Jones.
Who is it?
Sir Walter Jones.
Say it again.
Sir Walter Jones.
Who you with?
Sir Walter Jones.
One more again.
Sir Walter Jones.
The Sir Walter Jones Show. Co-host Alvin Carter. We are a Christian talk show in where we tackle all the hot topics in a believer's walk.
Sir Walter Jones.
Who is it?
Sir Walter Jones.
What's his name?
Sir Walter Jones.
Whose show is this?
Sir Walter Jones.
Who is it?
Sir Walter Jones.
Say it again.
Sir Walter Jones.
Who you with?
Ladies, it's Tuesday. Pink Perspectives on the Sir Walter Jones Show, right here on UBM Praise.
What's free to you mean?
What's free to me?
Yeah.
Same thing it is to you. You tell me.
No, you tell me. No.
It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. It's like, how do you tell somebody how it feels to be in love? How are you going to tell anybody who has not been in love how it feels to be in love? You cannot do it to save your life. You can describe things, but you can't tell them. But you know it when it happens. That's what I mean by free. I've had a couple of times on stage when I really felt free. And that's something else. That's really something else. Like like, I'll tell you what freedom is to me. No fear. I mean, really, no fear. If I could have that half of my life, no fear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that still keep us apart. I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you'd see and agree that every man should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give.
My mother was one of the greatest entertainers of all time, hands down. But she paid a huge price. People seem to think that when she went out on stage, that was when she became Nina Simone. My mother was Nina Simone 24/7. And that's where it became a problem.
One day I woke up and I could fly. I looked down at the sea, and I wouldn't know myself. I'd have new hands, I'd have new feet, I'd have new vision. My eyes would be open a little better.
When she was performing, she was brilliant. She was loved. She was also a revolutionary. She found a purpose for the stage, a place from which she could use her voice to speak out for her people.
Get in my way.
But when the show ended, everybody else went home. She was alone, and she was still fighting. But she was fighting her own demons, full of anger and rage. She couldn't live with herself. And everything fell apart.
One more
Hello, everybody. Sir Walter of the Sir Walter Jones Show. I am he, and I'm excited to be here. It's Tuesday, Pink Perspective. It is a women's guide to men, and today we're doing the Nina Simone Show. If you tuned into us yesterday, if you didn't, you missed it. But you can go to Spreaker.com. Those of you who listen to me live, we did, let's see, what did we do yesterday? We did Schizophrenia versus Donny Hathaway. I keep saying McClurkin. Sorry, Donny McClurkin. You're a good friend, but your name is Donny, so I keep saying your name. Your mic ain't on, by the way. So we did Schizophrenia versus Donny Hathaway, and it was an interesting, very, 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 very interesting and informative show. Many of you did not know how he died. Many of you didn't know that he had the sickness that he did have, but yet he was a genius. He was a genius of an artist. Today we're doing Manic Depression versus Nina Simone, and we're going to take you through a musical journey as well as an informative journey on mental illness. This is not Mental Illness Week in America, no, but I wanted to talk about it because last week I got an email from Netflix saying that they had uploaded another movie, and I opened my email and I saw that it was the Nina Simone story. And I said, wow, I've always wanted to know about her. I've heard her music, enjoy her music, but I didn't know her life. And so I went and made the big mistake of hitting the play button on Netflix, and I was amazed at the story. Very emotional. I teared up a few times. But the reason why I teared up because I identified with some of her struggles coming up in her home in her youth, and then advancing in her musical career. I understood her. I knew what she went through because I've been there. And we're going to talk about that. Again, our shows are very, very transparent, and we try to help people out. It's a women's show, so we have Annette on the show here. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
Annette does her show on Wednesdays here at 12 o'clock Central on You Being Praised, and thought I'd borrow her today. Alvin will probably be coming in, and maybe we might have a couple other people just stop on by because we have an open door policy. Yeah. No, we ain't feeding you, so don't just be stopping by because you want some cookies or something. No.
Oh, I think I better leave then.
Yeah, you can go now. Millie's on the boards here. We are blessed to have her, and we're excited. She's going to be here for a few hours because right after us, she going to stay right there and do the other show. Poor thing. I feel sorry for her. Nina Simone. Born Eunice Kathleen Wayman, actually is her name, February 21, 1933. She was an American singer, songwriter, pianist, arranger, and civil rights activist. Now, that's very important, that last one. And we're going to play some sound bites from that documentary, kind of mapped out from her daughter. I think it's called What Happened, Miss Nina, or something like that, Miss Nina Simone. And it was from writing by Maya Angelou. She worked in a broad range of musical styles, including classical, jazz, blues, folk, R&B, gospel, and pop. I mean, she had a wide range of genres in her music, and you will hear it in these next 2 hours. The sixth child of a preacher's family in North Carolina, Simone aspired to be a concert pianist. Her musical path changed directions after she was denied a scholarship to the prestigious Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia. And we're going to talk about that, too. Despite a well-received audition, Simone said she later found out from an insider of Curtis that she was denied entry because she was black. And I'm not going to go too further in the reading here from Wikipedia because she's going to talk and tell her own story in these sound bites that we do have. But let's first, before we go into her life, let's talk about this manic depression situation. Let's define what it is. Some of you y'all know people in your families. I lived in a home with someone, okay? And some of you may be suffering with this disorder, and you're listening now. And we'll kind of help you make sense of it. Bipolar disorder was formerly called manic depression. So sometimes you'll hear bipolar, sometimes you'll hear manic depression. Back in the day, we called everybody just retarded and crazy.
Right.
We
crazy was more of the word.
Yeah. We didn't know, until we, especially in the black community, we just called everybody retarded or crazy. And we didn't understand that there were names put on them. And the names are very important because it helps the clinicians, be able to help treat them.
Right.
Okay. It is a form of major affective disorder or mood disorder defined by manic or hypomanic episodes. Changes from one's normal mood accompanied by high energy states. Bipolar disorder is a serious condition. For instance, mania can cause sleeplessness, sometimes for days, along with hallucinations, psychosis, grandiose delusions, or paranoid rage. In addition, depressive episodes can be more devastating and harder to treat than for people who never have manias or hypomanias. All right. And again, this was in my home. All right. And I saw this flash in front of my face on a daily basis and didn't know what to do with it. And she was never diagnosed. I self-diagnosed her because I believe that the Lord told me what it was because I saw all the signs. And then I went to the internet and read on it, and I realized, wow, when they started giving all of the a list of all of the things that it does. That was her. 90% of the things that they said, it was her. I knew it was her.
Right.
But it says, what is bipolar disorder? Bipolar disorder is a complex disorder that likely stems from a combination of genetic or non-genetic factors. The mood episodes associated with it involve clinical depression or mania, which is extreme elation and high energy, with periods of normal mood and energy in between episodes. The severity of mood episodes can range from very mild to extreme, and they can happen gradually or suddenly with a time frame of days to weeks. When discrete mood episodes happen 4 or more times per year, the process is called rapid cycling. Rapid cycling should not be confused with very frequent moment-to-moment changes in mood, which can sometimes occur in people with bipolar disorder or other conditions such as borderline personality disorder. Along with manic or depressive episodes, patients with bipolar disorder may have disturbances in thinking. They may also have distortions of perception and impairment in social functioning. What do you got to say?
Well, of course, all of that is true. I did want to say, you started off when you mentioned about how you were relating to the story of Nina. Do you know one of the main reasons why you related?
Why?
We all can relate to it because we all go through that. We may not admit it. And some situations or cases are more, of course, extreme than others, hence the word, mania.
Right.
But it's something because when we look around in our daily lives, there, you said a few things there, things that affect us. I mean, our environment and things, in our homes or in our families, in our churches, even, that would kind of, depress us or get us down. A lot of it is in the way we handle it and what we do about it.
Yeah.
But first, recognizing that's what it is.
Yeah. If we want to do that, again, it's like we did what we talked about yesterday. It's taboo in the black community.
Definitely.
And so people don't want to be called crazy, so so we don't talk about it.
Right.
It says here what causes bipolar disorder. Like with other mood disorders, what causes bipolar disorder is not known. What is known is that bipolar disorder sometimes has a genetic component and can run in families. At what age is bipolar disorder usually diagnosed? It usually appears between the age of 15 and 24 and persists throughout a lifetime. It's rare that newly diagnosed mania is seen in children or in adults over 65. Severity of symptoms varies with individuals who have bipolar disorder. While some people have a few symptoms, others have many that impair their ability to work and live a normal life. Marked by relapse and remissions, bipolar disorder has a high rate of recurrence if untreated. Patients with severe mania usually require hospitalization to keep them from risky behaviors. Those who are severely depressed also might need hospitalization to keep them from acting on suicidal thoughts or psychotic symptoms, delusions, hallucinations, disorganizing thinking. About 90% of individuals with bipolar disorder which is the more serious. That's bipolar 1 or disorder, which is the more serious forms, have at least one psychiatric hospitalization. 2 out of 3 will have 2 or more hospitalization in their lifetime, and it goes on. And I've seen this stuff. I've seen her just faint, just for no reason. Boom, just collapse.
Really?
And then she gets back up like nothing happened. Can't remember stuff. Overly sexual. Overly sexual. Just cannot not think about sex. And that's the symptom.
Cannot not think about it. Is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was a situation with Nina too, in that documentary.
Yeah, we're gonna go there. Okay, these are those things, and cannot sleep after working a 12-hour shift. They can't sleep. What they call that when you can't sleep? What is it?
Insomnia.
Yeah, insomnia. She had night terrors. You're thinking, she would wake me up saying that their demons are trying to, attack her.
Wow.
And things like that, and she would cry out to the Lord, and speak in different tongues and all kind of things because she's trying to get rid of this thing in her mind.
Wow, that's deep.
And again, it's a church culture when you're afraid to just go get help.
Yes.
They consider your faith weak.
Yep.
That's the worst thing.
The worst
as
kind
a believer is to say you ain't got no faith.
You ain't got no faith. Yep. And that's a sad thing. So it pretty much destroyed the family. Here are some depressions in some of the celebrities that we know. Wayne Brady. He talked about his. Some of these I'm not surprised. Nicki Minaj.
Wayne Brady is bipolar?
He says, it took me a while to get my stuff together to go. You know what? He's saying, if you're not happy, you have to do something about it. Just to admit that you are feeling this way is a huge step to claim. Why do I feel dark? Why do I feel unhappy? Let me do something about this.
So it is a link between entertainers and this disorder.
That's exactly what I said. Yes,
because Robin Harris.
I'm going there. Yeah,
I mean Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. Right. Yep. You got Nicki Minaj. You got Ellen DeGeneres. You've got again, some of these I'm not surprised at all. You got Kanye West. Demi Lovato.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. That explains a lot.
It does.
It does explain a lot.
It really does.
Yeah, especially after his mom died, he went another level. Lady Gaga, she says, I learned that my sadness never destroyed what was great about me. You have to go back to the greatness, find that one little thing. She pretty much trying to...
She's affirming herself, building herself mind over matter. But your mind is the matter.
Absolutely. Yeah, what's the matter?
Your mind.
Miley Cyrus. Okay.
I don't know. I think she just needs GAW.
Yeah, well... Okay, Jim Carrey.
Okay.
I could believe that with him.
Jim Carrey. That's he acts all his out.
Yeah, all his personalities come out.
Brad Pitt is one of them.
Yeah. In Fight Club, I was wondering, was he really acting or was that just channeling his real self?
Well,
probably combination.
Absolutely. Well, Angelina Jolie.
Ooh, what kind of house is
that? You see what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Yeah. She said her mother passed away, and I wanted to do something physical to get it out of my head for a while, and then that's kicked it off. You got John Hamm. I'm a little surprised about that.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah, you do.
Who's John Hamm?
That's John Hamm there. He does...
I can't see it.
Yeah, Mad Men. Yeah, Mad Men.
Oh, I don't watch that show.
Yeah.
Me either.
He says, I did do therapy and antidepressants for a brief period, which helped me. Let's see, Halle Berry. I see it. Pete Wentz, Mandy Moore... Mel C, Russell Brand.
Okay, yeah.
Kirsten Dunst.
His career, Russell Brand changed his whole career image. I mean, years ago, he was the sidekick to Jackie Chan in Around the World in 80 Days.
That's right.
Totally different look and appeal.
Sure.
You didn't even realize it was him until...
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. Ashley Judd...
Wow.
Winona Ryder.
Okay.
Michelle Williams, the gospel singer from the...
Really?
You call her gospel singer?
Well, I said the gospel singer. Okay.
She's from Destiny's Child.
She says, I believe God gifted people, physicians, doctors, therapists. That's your healing. Take advantage of it.
I agree with her.
It's okay. You're going through something, depression. Is not okay, but it's okay to get help.
I agree with that.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Wow.
Brooke Shields.
Yeah, I can see that.
Roseanne Barr.
Definitely.
Yes.
Oh, God. Remember the intros to her show started showing the different images of her? Man, you could really, that was like a perfect capture.
I agree
capsule.
with that.
I can't talk today. I guess I need
Capsule.
to go to the doctor that gets me help.
Yeah.
But it captured all of those images. It just looks like she was tripping.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's good stuff. Drew Carey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can see him battling with depression.
Sure.
But I don't know about being bipolar.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, are these bipolar?
These are. Let's see. Let me go back to the top here. It's saying 27 celebrities on dealing with depression and bipolar.
Oh, okay.
Okay, either or both.
So I don't know if it's either or they both. They have both. Don't know because depression takes different stages. Let's go back up here. We've got Sheryl Crow, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Yep. See that? Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. She says, I'm not the kind of
I must
person.
confess, that's my heartthrob.
Yeah. Who likes to shout out my personal issues from the rooftops.
Oh, I did hear about her. That's
but
right.
my
That's
bipolar
She's married to Michael Douglas.
and he was a sex addict. Yeah. But with my bipolar public, I hope fellow sufferers will know it is completely controllable. I hope I can help remove any stigma attached to it, and that those who don't have it under control will seek help with all that is available to treat it. Okay, now why are these stars more intelligent, and understanding than we who are Christians?
One, many Christians, especially those in the Pentecostal churches, again, it's the worst thing in the world to be labeled faithless.
Right.
You could be unanointed, but to be labeled faithless seems like a brand that you can not get rid of. Number one. Number two, it could be economics.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have substantial income and good insurance, you can't get treatment like that.
Yep.
So that's another piece. Number three, you've been trained that this is demon. It's not physical, it's spiritual.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So then you want to be spiritual and come against that.
True.
And stand against it. And you don't know, then you keep it private because you don't want nobody to know you got demons.
That's true too. And it has been proven though that as far as healthcare is concerned, many of us
we don't go to doctor no.
We don't go, and they said one of the main reasons why we don't go is it is financial.
Yeah.
We can't afford it.
Right.
Because even if you got insurance, the copay sometimes you need a
co-signer.
co-signer.
You need a co-signer for the copay. Yeah. It's amazing.
You know what, Sir Walter, I would also add to what Alvin said, ignorance.
Sure.
Ignorance is a huge
Don't talk
part.
about me.
Yeah. No, she
I
said
add.
She
I didn't call you that today.
She gonna add to your ignorance.
But because all we have ever said, and you've said it a couple of times, we just call people that act, a certain way crazy. And that's just where we leave it at, the people in the church. We don't even, go to even find out what it actually could be. Or like you even said earlier, Sir Walter, about how you you diagnosed your ex-wife at that time. You went and researched. You were like, this is not normal. Yeah. But in the church, a lot of times we just don't know, and we don't even sometimes even want to find out what the exact reason is.
Sure. Now she said ex-wife. I never said ex-wife.
Watch it.
It could have been just some woman I was shacking up with.
I ain't touching that.
You said in your home.
I'm getting.
Yeah, it's my home. I could. Why can't I can't shack up in my home?
Iris, you can shack up how you want to shack up.
She just automatically says my ex-wife. I mean,
put his business out there. Now he got to go fix that. What if she ain't took her medicine and listening to the show?
You see what I'm saying?
Man,
I ain't saying
there's
nothing.
gonna be 10 women lined up outside. Because all of them he ain't had no license with. He just told me he's married so he can stay safe.
Okay.
Yeah, Michelle Thomas says,
you know how I go, girl.
Is Lindsay Lohan in that club? Probably. Natalie Bullock says, I remember the first time hearing "Black is the color of my true love's hair." So beautiful. She must be talking about Nina. Okay, let's go to Nina since you brought that up. There's a number one there, Millie. Number one, it says, "My baby just cares for me." You can go ahead and cue that in, and we'll talk over it. That's what we'll do. We'll just talk over these songs here. Nina Simone, Little Girl Blue, 1958. This is her first album, 1958. The first album by Nina Simone was recorded for the Bethlehem label in 1957 and released 1958. It contains the song "My Baby Just Cares for Me," which became a hit in the mid-'80s, generated by an animated music video heavily played on MTV. Nina Simone was paid a one-time $3,000 for the royalties for this recording.
Wow.
The album has been re-released by numerous labels with variations in titles and design, some of which incorrectly imply a best of collection or compilation. My Baby is a jazz standard written by Walter Donaldson with lyrics by Gus Kahn, written for the film version of the musical comedy Whoopee, 1930. The song became a signature tune for Eddie Cantor, who sang it in the movie. Yeah, turn it up. And some of you probably also don't know that Chanel No. 5, this was their commercial.
Yeah, I was going on. I remember that.
Chanel No. 5.
Man, here, slam that man.
Oh, man. She was an amazing musician, and as we go further in the show, you'll see how much of a genius she was. And how she kept leaning back to something that she really desired to do. And then we'll talk about that in a minute, too. Just crazy. You hear?
Yes.
Just crazy. I wish I had time.
It's almost like Nat.
It is exactly. That's exactly.
Nat or Art. I'm not Art. Well, Art Tatum too, but Art. Oscar Peterson. She's just slower, but her approach.
Yep.
Is like theirs.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go to number 2, Millie. I Love You, Porgy. It's a duet from the opera Porgy and Bess with music by George Gershwin and lyrics by Ira Gershwin, which I plan to be doing on Monday of my birthday. This Monday. Shameless plug. This Monday, July 6th.
Monday.
Yeah, 74th and Chappelle, 7:30.
That's right. Be there. Be square.
Be there. Be square. It was published in 1935. The Gershwins are some of the greatest writers there is and ever was. A brother team. Ira did the lyrics and George did most of the playing. Originally duetted by Ann Brown and Todd Duncan in 1935 production, and in 1942 revival of the opera I Love You, Porgy has been recorded as a solo number by a number of popular vocalists and jazz musicians. Most notably, Billie Holiday did a magnificent job on this song. Bill Evans, Nina Simone's recording of the song from Little Girl Blue album 1958 was a top 20 pop hit in the United States in the autumn of 1959. I'll be glad forever. I've got my man. You hear the brushes? Consistent. You know, just this song also remind me of Charlie Brown's
Christmas time is here.
You hear it?
Yes. It does.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that was another crazy pianist. What is his name? He did the Charlie Brown thing. It'll come to me. Yeah, if they go ahead, count it, man, count it out. Type that in on your Google machine.
Okay.
Tell me who it is. Did he do Take 5?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Let's go to number 3, Millie. I Put a Spell on You. My daughter
you still
Rebecca
hear this?
Huh? Yeah, you sure do. It's 1956 song by Jay Hawkins, whose recording was selected as one of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. Hawkins had originally intended it to record I Put a Spell on You as a refined love song, a blues ballad, but however, the producer brought in ribs and chicken and everybody got drunk. And we came out with this weird version. I don't even remember making the record, they said.
Wow.
Before I was just a normal blues singer, I was just Jay Hawkins. It all sort of just fell in place. I found out I could do more destroying a song and screaming it to death. If you ever heard his version, he does groaning and moaning. Yeah, let's go to number 4. I Wish I Knew How It Feels to Be Free, which is my number 1 favorite song from Nina Simone. I absolutely adore this song. It's a gospel jazz song written by Billy Taylor and Dick Dallas, best known for the recordings by Nina Simone in 1967 on her Silk and Soul album. Now listen to the gospel feel to this. Turn that up, Mel. Man, you straight here, God. I hear a little Andre Crouch.
I wish I knew how it would
Billy Taylor's original version.
to be free.
Vince Guaraldi.
I wish
There it is. Vince
I
Guaraldi.
could break
Thank you, sir.
all the chains.
As I Wish I Knew was recorded November 12, 1963
I wish I could say
and released on his Right Here, Right Now album.
that I should say.
His 1967 instrumental. Take was later used as a theme music for the film program series BBC Television. He said, I wrote this song, perhaps my best known composition, for my daughter Kim. This is one of the best renditions I've done because it is very spiritual.
That keep us apart. I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you'd see and agree that every man should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing.
Yeah, we can go there. I better stop. Number 6. Because that's that right there.
It hooks you in.
Yeah, well. Oh, 5. What? Oh, my bad. 5. Thank you, Billy. And they turned that song into a civil rights song in the 60s. This one here is I Shall Be Released by Bob Dylan. 1967.
They say everything will be replaced. They say every distance is not near. So I remember everything.
The band recorded the first officially released version of the song for the 1968 debut album, Music from Big Pink, with Richard Manuel singing lead vocals.
I see my light come shining.
The Last Waltz, in which all night's performers, with the exception of Muddy Waters, plus Ringo Starr and Ronnie Wood, appeared on the same stage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
The last note fell off.
It fell off. Yeah. Let's
Pick
go
it back up.
Number 6, Billy. Mr. Bojangles is a song originally written and recorded by American gospel or country music artist Jeff Walker for his 1968 album of the same title. Since then, it has been recorded by many other artists, including U.S. country music band, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. And I think that African American Jew, he did it too.
Oh yeah, but he died a Christian.
Oh yeah, he did. Oh, Sammy Davis.
Oh, one eye.
He died a Christian.
He singled his eye and his body was full of light.
Oh my Lord.
Lord have mercy.
But that was a bad performer, man.
Yeah, he was an amazing performer, singer and tap dancer. Number
Drummer,
7.
piano
That's
player.
right. That's right.
Piano
Saw that.
player. He
Saw
played. He
that.
did it all.
Sure did. No, number 7 is a hit from her. Ain't Got No, But I Got Life. A single.
Ain't got no home, ain't got no shoes, ain't got no money, ain't got no class, ain't got no skirt,
She had to go back and forth from the 6th
ain't got no
to the 1.
ain't got no bed,
Yeah, did the changes.
Uh-huh.
no mind.
That sounds like today's praise and worship.
Yep, today's praise and worship. Yes. Now this is actually CCM.
Right.
More so.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all are true musicians.
Ain't got no name, ain't got no ticket, ain't got no token, ain't got no God.
It's a single by American songwriter Nina Simone. The song was also featured in 1968 album Nuff Said. It's the melody of 2 songs from the musical Hair. Remember Hair?
Yes, I remember Hair.
With lyrics of James Ratto and Jerome Reginald. Charted number 2 in the UK. The song helped Simone gain popular under a new younger audience. It became a standard in her repertoire.
You can hear this definitely being something in the 60s that could have been performed at Woodstock.
Yep,
In that
straight
era.
Woodstock. Absolutely. Let's go to number 8. This is the last one from the ones that I'm going to play because I want to go into her life story. This is called Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. It is written by, Benny Benjamin, Glory Caldwell, and Saul Marcus for the jazz singer-pianist Nina Simone, who first recorded it in 1964. Has been covered by many.
I would love to hear some of the songs that didn't get recorded that she wrote.
I would too.
You know, back then, they controlled what you released. Artists didn't have the freedom they have today. In a lot of instances.
That's right. If you go to her discography on on Google, you'll see many albums she did from 1958 until almost before she died. She have a huge discography. There was no way I'd be able to do that show today with all her music. Just couldn't do it. And I didn't realize she had. And she did a lot of remakes. She didn't write a lot of songs. She was like the Luther of.
She covered.
And so did Donny Hathaway. They were covers. Now, Millie, we're going to start going through the alphabets on that grid. I think, there's one A that says gifted and alone. Okay, let me set this up before you play it. What we'll do is I'm going to play sound bites from the documentary called What Happened to You, Miss Nina Simone. Again, it's about an hour and 40-minute documentary. You got to go to Netflix and watch it. But we're going to help you out just in case you haven't watched it. Spoiler alert, we're about to spoil it, okay? Listen to this soundbite here. I'm calling it Gifted and Alone. It talks about really what happened in her early life, which probably could make sense of why she became the way she was mentally. Okay? Let's go for it.
Good evening. Our guest tonight is Nina Simone, probably the foremost blues singer, jazz singer, singer of all songs in the United States today. Nina, are you happy with the kind of work you were doing?
What makes me the happiest is when I'm performing and there are people out there who feel with me and I know I touch them. But to be completely honest, the whole thing seems so much like a dream. I never thought I was going to stay in show business.
When I first got into show business, I wasn't a blues singer and I wasn't even a jazz singer. I was a classical pianist.
I studied to become the first black classical pianist in America. And that's all that was on my mind. That's what I was prepared to be. Well, I was born Eunice Wayman, which is my real name, by the way, in a town called Tryon, North Carolina. I started to play the piano when I was 3 or 4. My mother was a preacher, and she took me with her on her revivals, and I started to play the piano in church.
Children, go where I send you. How shall I send you? I'm gonna send you one by one for the little bitty baby was born in Bethlehem.
Revival meetings were some of the most exciting times that I've ever had. The music was so intense. You just sort of went out of yourself. I felt it tremendously. I was leading it. When I was 7, the choir of our church gave a program at the local theater, and I was on that program. And I played some song, I don't remember what it was. And these 2 white women in the audience heard me. One of them was the woman that my mother worked for, and the other one was a music teacher, Mrs. Mazinovich. And they decided right then and there to give me lessons. And so for 5 years after that, I studied piano, classical piano, with this teacher. I crossed the railroad tracks every weekend to get to Mrs. Mazinovich. And, you know, railroad track in the South is supposed to be dividing the blacks from the white. Well, it really did. I was so scared. Mrs. Mazinovich frightened me. It was her being white in the sense that I had never seen. She was alien to me. Her white hair, the combs in it, her pleasantness. I loved that. And she started me on Bach. And this Bach, I liked him.
Ms. Mazinovich had it in her mind that I was going to be one of the world's greatest concert pianists. So it was all very disciplined classical music. Bach, Beethoven, Debussy, Brahms, you name it. Then Mrs. Mazinovich got a fund together, a Eunice Wayman fund, and they gave lots of recitals, and they would take up collection to further my education after I had left her.
Mommy took all of the training like a fish to water, but it was a double-edged sword. She had a very lonely life because she was practicing 7-8 hours a day.
When I first started to take lessons, I became terribly aware of how isolated I was from the other children and how isolated I was from the white community and the Negro community. I felt it all the time, even when the kids used to play with me. They always wanted me just to play the piano for them to dance. I wasn't asked too much to do anything else. That was very hard.
Yeah, that was interesting because you look at now the struggle of her being a child.
Mm-hmm.
Every time if they wanted to be with little Simone, they wanted her to play the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt like that's all y'all want me for. So she became a loner.
Yeah, I felt used. I understand that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm getting actually afraid of myself the more I hear about these people.
Yeah.
And some of the ways I begin to feel
Mm-hmm.
them fighting. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
All people want you to do is what they want you to do.
Uh-huh.
They see your talent as something that's valuable to them, but they don't see your person as something that's valuable. So I can see how you can fall into something, or the enemy, if you will, let me spiritualize it, I will, can make you lose your own self-worth if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
Or you become embraced by something else other than what you should be if you're not careful.
Right.
And not just careful, prayerful.
That is true. I went through that.
Because, well, I mean, I just think the coincidence, the origin of the church, I mean, both yesterday's artists and today's artists have roots with the church.
Right.
And even that same region,
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Something about that area.
That's true.
But, I mean, you think about how many wounded people are in the place of healing.
Right.
The church.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, because they see something in you. I mean, when you think about other talented musical people, the beginning or the onset of their pain, their hurt, and their journey was at the hands of the church, in the doors of the church.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's scary.
It is scary. The healing and the raping happened right there.
Mm.
The
training and the abusing.
Yep. I know a city where they put a pedophile sign on someone's lawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what they do. They put
they let you know
the pedophile lives here. And I said something very controversial on Facebook. They was like, "Look at that, ain't that a shame?" I said they probably need to take one of them signs and put it in front of the church.
Yeah,
because I know a lot of friends who were molested in the basement of churches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot. Look at this. Look at the story of going around in circles.
Yeah, Billy Preston.
That's where he.
Billy Preston.
His life ended the way it did because he was molested in church as a boy.
He became depressed, and drugs was his crutch.
Was his way out. Yes, and so this Nina Simone is my story, because I remember I would show up at these parties and they would say, "Walter, why are you here? Ain't no piano here." And I just wanted to weep.
Wow.
I just wanted to weep. It happened every time. Like I said, that's all I'm good for is a musician here?
Yeah.
And I walk out and go home and cry in the corner.
I got you.
Until I just figured I'm not going nowhere now. You know what I'm saying? And this is what happens.
Then it's where you been.
Exactly.
What you been doing.
Yep. You going to say something?
Woo, that's deep. Of course, I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
But, and it's not to take up for those of us who would do that to you, but it's like unfortunately, that's how we look at you.
Yeah, you're guilty.
You know what I mean? I mean, if we see, Walter plays the organ and so does Alvin. So automatically I'm going to think, if I have an event, I need a musician. If you're good, I'm going to think about you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's not necessarily that we're trying to diss you or
categorize.
Categorize you, but we look at your talent and we go that way. But then we can't tell you how you feel. You know what I mean?
Right. I think one of the greatest examples, we did a show called The Men Who Love Edith Bunker. Okay?
Yes.
And on one episode, Sammy Davis Jr. popped up at the house.
Yeah.
Okay, it was one of the greatest episodes.
Yes.
All right. And he sat in Arthur's chair. Meathead and Gloria was on the couch. Okay.
Mike. Give him Mike.
Okay.
Mike Stivic.
He called him Meathead.
Meathead. He Meathead. This is some Archie and me.
Okay.
Okay.
It was a lot.
Yeah. Yes. So Archie says, "Hey Sammy, sing us a song." And
go ahead, Sammy Dale. Sing us one of the songs Sammy Dale.
Yeah, that's him. And then Mike said, "Why would you do that?" And Michael was more the cool-headed, yes,
the educated one.
And his wife says, "Dad, don't do that." Yeah, he says, "Why?" She says, "Because what you're doing is asking him to work. Mm-hmm. You invite him over." Okay, and then you tell him go. She says, "How would you feel?" Because he worked on the loading dock. Mm-hmm. She said, "How would you feel if someone invited you over to their house and they say, go pick up something?" Yes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I saw that as a boy, and I was moved by that.
Yeah, me too.
Still to this day, I said to myself, "Oh my God, that's me." Mm-hmm. You invite me over because you didn't invite me over because you just like me as a man. Mm-hmm. You invited me over because there's a piano there, and you want me to entertain the troops.
Use me.
And you want to use me. Yeah, and that's what we do. So you notice in this story, she says, "I really wanted to be this masterful classical piano player."
Right.
And her teacher was trying to raise her to be the greatest classical piano player.
That explains her independence and why she does what she does.
Okay, so as we go down this story, yes, as we go down through the story, you'll see where she kept trying to reach that plateau, but never could reach it.
Got to it.
Yes. So let's go to B, racism and rejection.
Part of that isolation, of course, was the thing about color. I was a black girl, and I knew about it, and I lived in it. I lived in the South for 17 years.
My mom rarely referred to Jim Crow and segregation and a lot of the racial issues that were going on at that stage in her life. But she did tell me about times when she was told her nose was too big, her lips were too full, and her skin was too dark. And after she was told that, they probably told her, there's only certain things you'll be good for in your life.
What I knew. But we weren't allowed to mention anything racial in our house. I wasn't consciously dealing with race. That wasn't consciously on my mind at all until years later.
After I graduated from high school, the money that had been saved from the Eunice Wayman Fund sent me to New York to Juilliard for a year and a half.
And then I applied for a scholarship to Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia. I was playing Czerny and Liszt and Rachmaninoff and Bach. I knew I was good enough, but they turned me down. And it took me about 6 months to realize it was because I was black. I never really got over that jolt of racism at the time.
Yeah, racism now is number 2. Another heaviness on her, okay? She's isolated and alone. Mm-hmm. She wants to be this concert pianist. Now racism hits her. Now she's rejected because the school would not receive her. Mm-hmm. Okay, because she realized later on because she was black.
Right.
All right. Now this is all working on her psyche.
That's what I'm gonna say. It's all build up.
It's all build up because you notice she never talk about her parents being in her life, which is something that's again common among PK kids because she's a preacher's kid.
Yes.
So there's no parental-child relationship.
There was none.
You do what I say do, and then you're gone.
And you're out of there. And notice,
always busy.
Yeah, she changed her name and she began to. Well, I don't know. I might be ahead of the game, but let's go to C, called the name change.
Mm-hmm. Then the money ran out, and the reality hit me that I had to go to work. My parents had moved the whole family to Philadelphia to be near me, and my family is very poor, so I had to work. What else was there for me to do? So I got myself a job in Atlantic City for a summer. It was a very crummy bar. And I used to go in evening gowns. I didn't know any better. I played everything that I could think of. Pop songs, classical, spirituals, all kinds of things. It was very strange. And I had never sung before. And the owner came in the second night and told me if I wanted to keep the job, I had to sing. So, $90 was more money than I had ever heard of in my life. So I said, well, I'll sing. And ever since then, I've been singing.
Eunice Wayman was playing in the bars to support her family and to have money to continue her classical piano training. But since she didn't want her mother to know that she was playing the devil's music in bars, she changed her name. Eunice Wayman became Nina Simone. She named herself Nina, meaning little one, and she had a boyfriend who called her Nina. And Simone came from the French actress Simone Signoret.
I didn't want my mother to find out. I knew she would hate it. So I kind of kept it from her for a long, long time.
Was it lonely for a young girl entertaining in these strange bars?
Extremely lonely.
Working peculiar hours, I imagine.
12 midnight to 7 in the morning.
It ruined your social life?
Never had much of one.
Why did you keep on with it?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't help it. I have to play, and I needed money. It was always a matter of necessity from day to day what I'm going to do. I didn't even know I was going to stay in show business. I never thought about a choice.
Nobody's fault but mine.
Where was the parents from 12 o'clock to 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
Right. She obviously stepped away.
Did she sneak out of the house at 11:30
every night?
And then no one checked in the room, you know?
And this,
or were they in prayer meeting?
Right. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, that's possible.
Yeah.
Were they so busy doing the work of the Lord that they could not do the work of their family?
Right. Yeah. And very common. And this sounded like the Nat King Cole situation because he played in the bars and he wanted to be known as a great jazz pianist. But the bar owner made him sing. Okay, he didn't want to sing, but he made him sing, and then he became known as the great singer, not so much the jazz pianist, which hurt him. It really hurt him. She wanted to be known again as the great concert pianist. They made her sing
exactly.
Okay, and I look at what's his name, guitar player. We had to get that big guitar, jazz.
George Benson.
Okay, he wanted to be known.
Yes,
as the great musician. But we know him more so as a singer. Now that depends on where you are now.
Okay,
because I see your face.
Yes,
but
I heard his music before I heard him sing. I didn't know it was him. I thought he was Stevie when I heard Masquerade.
Me too.
Oh, really?
Boom, 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 boom. That's George Benson.
That's sure.
Breezing, yeah, a few others.
Yeah, but the world, the regular people
who wanted to sell records knew that his voice would sell records.
His voice did it. Absolutely.
Now back to Nat King Cole.
Regular people.
He's called King. He's called King for his playing, not his singing.
Yeah, that's good.
Because him and his brother.
He had the King. He was called the.
No, it was not the King Cole. That came later. But see, there was the story behind him becoming king was him and his brother were played. They both played.
Okay.
But Art Tatum, who loved to go and challenge. Exactly.
Woo.
He came and he went to every city and he challenged all the famous people of the day. Well, it came down to the Cole brothers.
Okay.
And he wiped out everybody in Chicago. And so it's like, for example, you come and you challenge the gospel musicians in Chicago. You may run over Alvin Carter, you know. Then you got to meet a few others. But if all else fails, you wipe everybody else out. Who you gonna put them up against?
That's true.
Itch Hours,
right?
Or Steve, or you know a few others. Steve, Nelson. You know, you have the people that you know. Oh, Cornell Thigpen, Wendell Lowe. You know, these are the upper echelon.
Yeah.
You know, so that was Nat and his brother.
That's a good.
Art Tatum called him king because Nat wiped him out.
That's something.
So that's how he got the name King.
Who can possibly wipe?
Now here's the other story, the history behind it with the singing. Art Tatum's protege, Oscar Peterson, Fast Fingers.
Oh, you can see that. Yeah.
Okay, he and Nat sound alike when they play.
Yeah, they did.
But one of them said,
When they sang too.
They sounded like they sang. So that was the other agreement. Okay, I'll keep singing because singing get me my television shows.
Yes,
singing
that's
get me
right,
my
that's
record
right,
deals.
that's
Used
right.
it. So that was the other part too.
Yeah.
So now figured out how to do both.
Yeah.
He figured out how to do both on that. But I don't know if that led to his. No, he got sick and died.
Yeah,
That's
he
what
got
happened to
sick.
him.
Yeah, that
he
was
just
his,
cancer
he
snuck up on him.
Smoked a lot.
And smoked a lot of being and all that. Second hand, third hand smoke.
But we don't know the mental strain that he was up under because of that.
Yeah, I mean, how many people know who does what?
Yeah,
people like you when you met me. I had no clue you was dealing with that stuff.
That's true. There you go.
Because everybody cloaks it differently.
That's it. I've got a friend who just joined me in Arnold Welch is a long time family friend. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good. Pull that mic to you. Act like you in church.
Know some Welches.
Yeah.
Great people.
Yeah. They make grape.
No, I say grape people.
Oh, okay.
No. I do know some Welches though. Yeah. Barbara Welch and Ernie Welch, they're friends of my mom.
Okay. I don't know if there's anywhere in the Welch's family. On
Old school gospel people.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah. Where you coming from?
From I was going to Calumet. I was in Dalton with my sister.
Dalton, okay. But you don't live here no more.
No. I'm coming from Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, you faked us out, man. Moved to L.A. He's a chef, by the way, y'all.
Oh.
That brother right there can cook up something. Millie, calm down, Millie. Calm down.
How long you going to be here?
Every time I come.
Man, I got a chicken in the car. It's a stove upstairs.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just hang around, man. Hang with us if you can. We're talking about Nina Simone and mental illness, and I try to see if we can make sense of why musicians and artists and what have you get the way they do, and what happened to them. Let's go to a file. It's over there where the letters are. It's called Nina Finds Husband. Yeah, let's play that and see where he comes in the picture.
Nina, there's a man named Andy Stroud. He walked into your life and became a permanent part. How did you meet your husband?
He came to see me at a nightclub, and a mutual friend introduced us.
Nina came to the table and sat, and I was eating a hamburger plate, and there were fries, and she dipped into them. Just wanted to know if it was okay. I said, all right. We got cute, and then she gave me that card with the note on it. And then I went over to see her at her place, next day or two.
But when he comes, I'll have to go.
How did you know that Andy Stroud was to be your husband and not just another guy out for a date or something else?
That's a hard question. He told me that he had wanted to meet me for a long time, and he had come for me. I fell in love with him. A little later, he scared me to death. He was so, he knew what he wanted, and he just took over.
With you forever.
He abandoned his own career as a sergeant of the police department to manage me. And for the first time, I knew what it was not to be just floundering out there.
Got my
I just remember meeting Andy. Here was a tough New York, by squad cop that when he stepped out of his car uptown, people ran. And he had a way of just saying one word, hey, and that could put a lot of fear in people. But Andy and Nina married in 1961. He retired from the police force and became her manager, and he did well for her. They bought a beautiful house in Mount Vernon, New York.
We had a 13-room house, 4 acres of land, a lot of trees.
My baby don't care for shows.
Andy Stroud. Now you notice the pickup, how he picked her up, because he didn't. She did.
Right.
She walked over to him.
She walked over to him, dipped her food, something she had in her hand, into his whatever that was. You got your peanut butter in my chocolate.
Oh, I believe that was the longest.
Yeah. You got to go there. And then she passed him his her number, I think it is. Stop it. Her number. Okay. So this aggression here.
Yes. That's funny.
I mean, I'm trying to see, is that a sign? Because someone who's usually a loner, like
they have a bold streak.
They do have a bold streak.
Yes.
The irony is, it was a racial thing that she ignored, but yet that was one of her plights.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, I can see that. What do you think about that, Welch?
What about, yeah. That was good.
Yeah, you did your wife pick you up? Did she dip her celery into your ranch?
Close like that. My auntie always used to say she kidnapped me.
She kidnapped me.
Come here, boy.
Come here, boy.
You fine brown thing.
You grape jelly, you.
Come here, make me some jelly.
Let's go to D, Minute the Brilliance. Now, watch this now. This is the brilliance of Nina Simone, especially in her younger days. Okay, now watch how she takes the song For All We Know. We played yesterday. For All We Know. Listen to how she changes it, but how classical is still beating her up in her mind, and she could take a jazz song and make it classical. Okay, the brilliance of Nina.
That's the reverse, because they usually do the opposite.
Eating at her.
The inverse, I should say, not reverse.
Eating at you, Nina. And gradually that got stronger.
For all we know, we may never meet again.
The first time I played with Nina, it was the summer of 1957 at a restaurant in New Hope, Pennsylvania. She didn't look at me, said nothing, as though I wasn't even there, and started in on a song. She never told me what key she was going to be, and she just started playing, and I knew exactly where I was going to go with it. It was like we had a telepathic relationship. Before you knew it, we were just weaving in and out. And then she looked up.
Blackman is a terribly sensitive, creative man. He has perfect pitch, which means that no matter what key I'm in, he's able to adapt himself immediately. Because I do that all the time. I'll change the key in the middle of a tune.
Nina had a wonderful way of taking a piece of music and not interpreting it, but like metamorphosizing it, morphing it into her experience.
What I was interested in was conveying an emotional message, which means using everything you've got inside you sometimes to barely make a note, or if you have to strain to sing, you sing. So sometimes I sound like gravel, and sometimes I sound like coffee and cream.
So baby, love me tonight.
When I first saw Nina at my club in 1959, I was impressed. She was different. She mixed in folk music with jazz. She played very fine piano. Her voice was totally different from anybody else. It was a woman's voice, but it had the depth of a baritone. That depth and that darkness carried the insight of what was in Nina's soul. And it reached you very quickly. She was an artist. She was an original artist. So we paid attention. And in 1960, I put her on the Newport Jazz Festival.
Ain't that something?
Yes.
It's like when we use the word bipolar because they're on different poles.
Right.
both those poles were. They both, it's like, you know,
they connected.
They connected. Like as far as the east to the west, those suckers came together.
Right.
So it's turned them into a circle.
Yeah, pretty much. It was and Abronians on Facebook, she says, where was she born? Because her accent is very strong. She's from North Carolina.
Yes, but you know they have a strong accent there.
They sure do.
Yes. They have a different accent altogether.
Yep, absolutely. And out of 6
almost
children,
West Indies.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to go. Yeah, and eventually she moved out of the. She said I was done with America. She called it the United Snakes of America.
Right.
And she moved to Barbados and all those other little islands, and so of course that affected her accent even stronger.
More, yes.
Yeah. But again, that just showed the pure genius of her and what was going on in her head whenever she hit the piano with her hands. It's not easy to interpret what's in your head through your hands. The way she did it, to me, it's like I hear stuff when I'm playing, I can't always execute it.
I thought that was just me.
That's, I think it's a lot of musicians.
Yeah, I mean, what I hear in my head, my hand don't always obey.
It won't always obey. You don't want to obey.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I can imagine what she dealt with.
Yeah.
But that shows the discipline that she had.
Absolutely.
And the freedom within her discipline. Because some people who are trained a certain way remain bound by the parameters of their training.
That's right.
She seemed to take the training and take the she took it out of a box.
Yeah.
And she just threw it in the air like dust and worked with it.
Yeah, that's true. What you play?
Yeah, the bass guitar.
The bass. That's right. Yeah, you used to tell me about that. He teases us on Facebook all the time. All right. His brother is my son's godfather.
Okay.
Yeah. Them Welches, all of them are gifted. Now the last generation, they gifted, they musicians and just get on my nerves.
Trying to catch up with them, Jones.
Yeah, well, you keep running, all right? Keep running. Let's go to E. Millie. No Bach in Carnegie. Okay, now she's moved to Carnegie Hall. Her dream gig. To perform on that stage to play Sebastian Bach.
Yes, they didn't want to hear that.
Okay, all right. Well, there you got it. No Bach.
You good Bach.
I had an overall plan to develop and create her as an artist. I had set up an office at 5th Avenue and 42nd Street. I had a publicist. I had a guy who was the record promotion man that I got from Atlantic Records. I had another fellow who did the college radio station promotion and a photographer.
Dad was the original Puff Daddy. I mean, he really had a vision, and he was a very astute businessman.
And of course, she was burning to get on to Carnegie Hall. She had trained as a classical pianist with the one thought in mind of being the first black female classical pianist to appear in Carnegie Hall. That was her prime objective. However, none of the New York City promoters would undertake this project. So I took my own money to promote the appearance. She was ecstatic. I mean, she was out of her mind with joy.
You apparently wrote a letter to your parents saying, this is where you wanted me to play, but I should have been playing Bach. So this was your glory occasion, but you were still disappointed?
Well, I loved the audience, but I wasn't playing classical music, and I wanted to be. And so I wrote, yes, I'm in Carnegie Hall finally, but I'm not playing Bach.
I can go on without you. Your love is all I'm living for. I love all things about you. Your heart is
It's got that Elvis Presley feel with the background sings that high.
With the oohs and the ahs.
I Can't Stop Loving You, and some of his ballads had that. That was the feel of that time. Okay. Now she's in Carnegie, but you see how she still snuck in.
She snuck in the sound.
The sound.
But it wasn't
It wasn't official, right? It wasn't. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Now, I know you mentioned that she really didn't talk about her parents that much. What do we really know? What were their thoughts in terms of her being in Carnegie Hall and being this classical pianist? Was it pressure from them? I know she said it was her desire, because what it seems to me is that she, felt she was disappointing them, as well, of course, as not fulfilling the desire that she wanted. She wrote the letter home and said, I'm here, but I'm still not doing, so I wonder what would, or if you even know what her, maybe her parents or her family, if they wanted her to do that, or if there was pressure from them. Because, of course, all that can work on your psyche, too, because I'm not doing, what my family wanted me to do, and, probably could have spiraled her, even the more, because she never fulfilled that dream.
We can only guess, because we don't see documentation of how they felt, but
or know what denomination they were.
Right. But the mom is responsible for her having a classical feel, because she's the one that enrolled her
in the classical training.
Right.
I think they wouldn't have had a problem with her doing the classical music as much as they had a problem with her doing the music she was doing.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think that was more palatable to their desire.
Sure.
I mean, you think about church people. You can play classical music. That's acceptable. But you can't play the boogie woogie. You can't play the blues.
Right.
Even though some of the classical artists was just as profane as anybody else. But, it was just socially acceptable.
Right. Socially acceptable.
So they could deal with that.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I just wonder what you knew more about it, because I didn't know much about Nina Simone.
No, because he was raising holiness.
Right.
Well,
you wouldn't be.
Whatever.
No, you wouldn't.
Whether I was or not, it doesn't matter. I just didn't know. Because that would have been interesting. But I do remember her saying that her teacher, which was her mother's employer, wanted her to, become a classical pianist.
Sure. Arnold, how did you get to Carnegie Hall?
You say, how do you get there?
I
think that's your music talent.
Yeah.
Practice.
Hard work. Mostly a lot of hard work.
It took him a little long to say it.
Yes.
Practice. But he said your musical talent. That's what he said. That's exactly it. Practice. F. Let's go to, here's the first signs of depression. Now pay close attention and see if some of y'all can recognize some of this in some of your friends, okay?
Andy said, Nina, it's hard work. You want to make the money? You have to work. And she resented that. And Lisa was born, and she resented being torn away, having to go on the road.
I didn't realize what my mom did for a living. I just know that Mom was always traveling. My mother often told me that I had 13 nannies in 7 years. So while she was trying to maintain some sense of a schedule for me and normalcy for me, she was out there doing what she was doing.
Can I have 5 more minutes? It's very frustrating.
When we were on the road, there were times we had to be careful. She could get angry and start arguments with people.
Y'all pushing. You're pushing. Don't put nothing in it. Let's do it again.
If anyone were talking in the audience, she would just sit. And at first she would say, please. And she said, I'm not continuing. She'd get up, walk out, and the gig was over.
I just want them to listen to the music like they did in the classical world. I thought they needed teaching. If they couldn't listen...
She got into Carnegie Hall, and she got the big house in the country. But she began questioning herself. She'd get into moods of depression about the whole business, the personal relationship, cursing and smashing things, and this worsened as the time went by.
Gonna see my sweet honey baby. Gonna break this chain off and run. I'm gonna lay down somewhere shady.
All I did was work. I was always tired. I could never sleep. You see, music always goes through my head, which means the more I played, the less I could relax. I kept thinking Andy would let me rest. He never did.
God so terribly far to go.
And those are signs right there.
Yeah.
You can't, you work. She said, I couldn't rest.
No balance.
No balance.
And being taken away from her kids probably took her back to when she was always on the go or away from home or as a child or parent away from home.
Vicious cycle.
Yes.
Generational. Now, it gets deeper here, and I'm going to move through this as fast as I can. But here comes the domestic abuse.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering.
Yeah, we know that was coming.
The minute she married away, man, I was wondering. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be racist.
Well, he
was a cop.
Yeah, he passed for black, though, if you look at it.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
He was a cop.
Yeah. All right. Go for it.
Got my liver.
She felt she was being handled like a racehorse. And she was always fighting it. Andy would say, Nina, we've got a career here. That's not going to continue if you don't nurture it. So she came to resent Andy, but she was afraid of Andy.
Andrew protected me against everybody but himself. He wrapped himself around me like a snake. I worked like a dog, and I was scared of him. And Andrew beat me up. I've never talked to you about this, but he beat me up. I was definitely scared of Andrew.
Put a spell on you. Cause you're mine.
One time early in the morning, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings. It's Nina, and she needed to hide out.
I had gone to a discotheque with Andrew, and a fan came up to me and gave me a note, and he saw me take this note and put it in my pocket.
She thought nothing of it. I mean, she related this to me. And Andy came back and grabbed her arm and took her out from the place and beat her up.
And when I got out on the street, he started raining blows on me, bloody blows. He beat me all the way home. Up the stairs, in the elevator, in my room, put a gun to my head. Then he tied me up and raped me.
She came to my place and she was beat up. And I, put her to bed and she, rested for a couple of days.
He didn't find me for 2 weeks. My eyes I couldn't see. And he said, who beat you up like that? And I said, you did. He said, no, I didn't. I've been looking for you for 2 weeks. I said, you're insane. He was brutal. But I loved him. And I guess I just believed he wouldn't do it anymore.
You're mine.
I loved him, and he wouldn't do it anymore. Is this the national anthem of those who abused?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be. They just believe he wouldn't do it anymore. You do it once, you do it again.
Yeah, and we did a show. What was it? When was that? Last week. We did a domestic abuse towards men, because men are abused domestically by women, almost as much as now women are abused, because the playing field has been leveled a lot now with women and feminism, and women's rights, and all these things. So women feel they can do anything. So now they've even beaten the men. Well, and some of it almost justified. Okay,
I'm gonna leave that one alone too.
Yeah. I mean,
now it's going to increase the data's going to increase based upon now the new ruling too.
That is true.
Oh,
That's
Lord
the ruling made it more complicated. Though.
Yes.
To what? Okay, which one are you, the woman? Okay, I'm coming over with domestic
Which
abuse. Which role are you playing? So I know who do I remove from the house? He or he? She?
No, whoa, man.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay.
Whoa.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I noticed something. I'm sure you did too. The situation when she, said that he beat her up. Now you notice what triggered it was because a fan gave her a note.
Right.
Now what happened when they first met?
She gave him one.
Yeah. So what's going through his mind? He probably.
But it can't be that someone is going to do to her what she did to him.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's one way to look at it. You really astute on that one.
Yeah. She's the one with the degree.
Right.
She's the only one with the degree in this room.
No.
With the psychology degree. Not a degree, the psychology degree.
He got one, see?
Oh, he got one? Psychology degree?
Man, mine is life experience. PhD.
Yeah. Come on now.
No, I was being silly, but not once did he ask, what did the note say?
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what they say, birds of a feather?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And look at us. We act like we've been on each other for years.
For years.
Two crazy people.
Too crazy.
Very crazy.
Yeah.
Keyboards.
And that spirit knows each other.
Yeah.
For
That's how it perpetuates itself.
Yes. Absolutely. It recognizes itself. Let's go to the next one. Now, the daughter. She now is a part of the abuse. She sees it and she's testifying about it.
My mother always said, till the day she died, Dad was the best manager that she ever had. But on top of being charismatic, he could be a bully, and he could be very mean.
Police officer.
And she was on the receiving end of that more times than, she should have been, which should have been never. Mom would allude to, he rammed my head into a concrete wall. She said that he punched her in the stomach when she was pregnant with me. As a child, I remember sitting in the car between them, and they were arguing about something, and I remember my father reaching across me, so it was like this, and backhanding her.
We're going home in the car, I'm driving. I slapped her. Blood spurted right over this eyebrow. She had like a 1-inch cut from my ring, We got her home, and I clipped the skin together and taped it. And a week later, there wasn't even a scar.
I think they were both nuts. She stayed with him.
I'm sorry.
She had this love affair with fire.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's like inviting the bull with the red cape. Just come on into my kitchen and let's see what we can do. That's what she did.
What I want for her? Myself. What else?
My father had a strategic plan in terms of how Mom's career was going to go. He wanted her to be able to win all the awards and to become the huge star that he knew that she could be. But she wanted something more. There was something missing in her, some meaning.
Yeah. They ask him, what do you want? He says, I want her for me. I am her, pretty much.
Right.
He invested his life into her. But it also seems as he is just as unhappy.
Yeah.
And he's transferring his unhappiness onto her because the busy lifestyle must take its toll. He must like the money, but he don't like the work.
Yeah, and this sounds like
Argentina,
pretty much. Because after a while, they started beating each other. Till it became a nightly, like watching nightly movie.
Neither one of them rode limousines after that night.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
That's right, I drive.
Yeah. This one here is called Mississippi, I'm going to say God Darn. Okay? It's a very popular song. It was very controversial because you didn't cuss on the radio at that time. Today, y'all got this Negro rap, I call it.
Oh, my God.
This gangster Negro rap. It's nigger rap, pretty much. Go to Mississippi, God Darn.
They died in Birmingham, the nation's most segregated big city. Dynamite exploded on Sunday morning, killed 4 little girls, injured 20 other Negroes.
It was one of more than 40 bombings in that Birmingham area.
Kids were murdered in Birmingham on a Sunday and in Sunday school in a Christian nation, and nobody cared.
When the kids got killed in that church, that did it.
First you get depressed, and after that you get mad. And when these kids got bombed, I just sat down and wrote this song. And it's a very moving, violent song, because that's how I feel about the whole thing.
Alabama's gotten me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest.
Mississippi, goddamn. Got my attention.
I didn't realize that's what that last word was until they said it.
There's something.
Her accent was
about-
so strong. I thought it was, man.
If you look at all the suffering that black folks went through, not one black man would dare say Mississippi, goddamn. And then to have someone with her stature talking about your problem, you know how happy they had to be.
Jesus,
we all wanted to say it. She said it.
You know what this is? The old dude, the
Mississippi,
comedian.
goddamn.
The old comedian.
Outdoors on my trail.
Got a beard.
School children sitting in jail. Black cat cross my path. I think every day's gonna be my last.
Dick Gregory. That's what it sounds like, Dick
But
Gregory.
my country is full of lies. We all gonna die and die like flies. But I don't trust nobody anymore. They keep on saying, go slow.
For Mommy to write a song called Mississippi Goddamn was revolutionary. They didn't have cursing on the radio or on television or anything. DJs refused to play it. And boxes of the 45s used to be sent back from the radio stations cracked in two.
Wow.
Washing the windows, picking the cotton.
That was terrorist.
Yeah.
That's terrorist action. She said it again.
As the civil rights movement really swung into high gear, she swung into high gear with it. In '65, we played the Selma March in Montgomery, Alabama.
We have a legal and constitutional right to march from Selma to Montgomery.
It was extremely dangerous. The federal marshals were called in, and they were standing on the tops of all the buildings downtown with guns.
Seated in front of the stage, facing the audience, was Martin Luther King, Ralph Bunche from the UN, and a lot of other worldwide dignitaries.
You had Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, Sidney Poitier, Bill Cosby, Leonard Bernstein, Harry Belafonte. And we did Mississippi Goddamn.
Can you see it? Can you feel it? All in the air. I can't stand the pressure much longer. Somebody say a prayer.
Do you all hear the difference?
Yep.
She did it Dixieland style.
Sure did.
Risk taker.
She changed it.
She did.
That was a musical thumbing of the nose.
Of course it was.
Wow, that was ingenious.
Telling you. Song, she got so angry that her voice broke. And from Mississippi Goddamn on, it never, ever returned to its former octave. But I think that Mom's anger is what sustained her. The energy and the creativity and the passion of those days is really what kept her going.
Yeah, yeah. And I wanted to play that. I was debating, but I said, you know what? We hear stuff on TV.
All the time. TV in church.
In church, all the time. And you know, I try to educate as much as I can without being vulgar, but some things I have to let through because we sugarcoat everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything, you know, and it's you know, yeah, I'll beep an F word and things like that, but some things I need to let through so that you can see the
full impact.
The full impact. And because the church is so silent and we close our ears and eyes to some things, we are how do you say when you don't know much about street? You are
naive.
Yeah. The church is naive to a lot of the stuff that's going on in our children's lives. They have no clue. They don't want to know.
Right.
You know,
They just want to talk about
it.
it.
They don't want to talk about it. So
No, I mean they're talking about the people that's doing the things.
Oh,
but they're not helping them.
And it's in their house.
But they miss it.
Yep. They're like, I don't want to know what that is.
They don't want to deal with the shame.
I hear my Christian friends all the time say, I don't watch the news.
Which is dumb to me.
That's the stupidest thing you can do as a Christian, not watch what's going on in your...
Because if you are called to intercede, you got to know what to intercede for.
You don't know nothing. How you know this?
You need to be informed.
Yes.
You need to be able to teach your children what to look out for, what to do, what not to do.
It's pureness. So then you get upset because the U.S. Supreme Court passed a law that you don't like. You wasn't a part of it. You wasn't watching it. Yeah, you wasn't.
to make sure your preacher was telling the people, hey. Okay, that's another story.
Yeah, that's another show.
We need to do a news show.
Yeah, we do need to do it because my
your blood is boiling.
I'm
about to say, Sir Walter, goddamn,
Sir Walter, goddamn. Go to Young Gifted and Black.
Foul filth, foul
filth. Go to Young Gifted and Black. Let's see what this is all about.
Lorraine Hansberry was one of my best friends, and she wrote plays, Raisin in the Sun, and Young Gifted and Black. Taught me a lot about Karl Marx, Lenin, and philosophy.
The basic fabric of our society that has Negroes in the situation that they are in is the thing which must be changed, you know.
Those times were pretty amazing. I look back now and I'm just like, wow, who's who of Black America? Lorraine Hansberry was my godmother. Malcolm X's wife, Betty Shabazz, was my auntie. They lived right next door in Mount Vernon. There are 6 daughters, and I was like the 7th. So I was always riding my bike over there.
Lisa and I were the same age, and I think we may have called one another twins. It was just a great, great time.
That's Malcolm X's
There was
daughter
music,
talking.
there were discussions. Whether it was at our house or Lisa's house, Nina Simone's home, it was definitely party with a purpose.
We happened to be a fly on the wall with some of the genius poets and poetesses of the time, the era. And to sit in that room and listen, these were brilliant, well-read, well-traveled, charming, alluring, charismatic people who were moved to make a difference in the world. I'm born of the Young Gifted and Black affirmation. For me, and those of us in that environment, it was daring to proclaim it and then share it joyously. When she sang it, people would stand up and engage in your Africanness without apology. And it's a contemporary hip song of the era. It means you get to hum it in public.
We'll go right to reverse abuse as the time is flying real fast. I go to Kay, reverse abuse, and let's see what she does in return.
She became a legend in the activist movement. And through meetings and discussions that I overheard, she was convinced that certain things must be done in order to push the revolution. I told her that's not the answer. And then I began to manifest in her attitude towards me in the business. She'd fly off. I remember a few nights, you go to bed happy and holding one another, and I wake up and she'd be sitting up in bed with her arms folded, looking at me, thinking about killing me. And this is how it went. The political work became very heavy.
Yeah. She became very violent. Again, I remember fighting with the ex and being very violent. I'm standing there trying to not.
The ex who?
Yeah, I can't say, but
okay,
because she already gave it away.
Okay, I'm just for the sake of
the X Factor.
We're an hour and a half later. Let's move forward.
And I remember going to sleep on the couch because I didn't want to sleep in the bed with her. I didn't even want to come home after church. That was a home I did not want to be in. It's a shame, ain't that something?
Right.
Okay, and so then I slept on the couch that night, and I remember her coming down and said, "So come get in the bed." I said, "No, not tonight. I'm going to sleep right here, let you cool off, okay?" And that was after weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of fighting and seeing her faint and having spells and all these things. And then I remember that morning I was awakened early in the morning. I had a vision of her standing over me with a knife. And I woke up suddenly and I said, "This woman's about to kill me." And I looked up and I saw a shadow. And I know for a fact I heard,
"It was the Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost, Holy Ghost."
Get up, pack your bags, and get out of there.
I'm coming out. I'm getting out.
I walked out of that house never to return because I didn't know what to do with that. That either spirit or that, well, because spirit is related to the physical of it, because the spirit uses it manifests itself in the natural. And And because she was in denial, she didn't understand that she was sick. That's even the most dangerous part. Because the first step to recovery is to admit that you do have this problem. And so here comes the militant. We're going to skip L. This is L. I call it I am not nonviolent. She told Martin Luther King in his face, I am not nonviolent. So she joined forces with Stokely.
Stokely
Carmichael. And then she would quote from Malcolm X, and then she would do these things and says, I'm not nonviolent. I'm going to kill a white man. I mean, that was her whole plateau.
Well, she was getting beat by one.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so let's go to the militant Simone.
That's the oxymoronic thing. She's married to one.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Are you ready, black people? Are you really ready?
She wanted to align herself with the extreme terrorist militants who were influencing her. And after all these meetings with all these people, she would come to me, let's get the guns, let's poison the reservoir, all sorts of violent terrorist acts.
Are you ready to call the wrath of black gods? Black magic? To do your bidding?
Black people are never going to get their rights unless they have their own separate state. And if we'd have an armed revolution, that'd be a lot of blood. I think we'd have that separate state.
Are you ready to smash white things? To burn buildings? Are you ready?
At a certain point, Nina started to play only political songs and nothing else. And that started to hurt her career. That became a problem to book her, because promoters were a little bit afraid that it might only be the political message that you were getting.
Are you ready to kill if necessary? Is your mind ready? Is your body ready?
If I had my way, I'd have been a killer. No. I would have had guns, and I would have gone to the South and gave them violence for violence, shotgun for shotgun. But my husband told me I didn't know anything about guns, and he refused to teach me. And the only thing I had was music, so I obeyed him. But if I'd had my way,
I wouldn't be sitting here today.
I'd be probably dead.
Are you really ready?
She's putting down the white people, I mean, like a barking dog. But she still wanted all the good things. Whenever she'd see, like, Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight and all these people on the prime television shows, she, of course, was very upset because she wasn't able to get onto these shows because of her reputation. It got so that there wasn't that much work and the expenses were high. It was cutting the legs out from all the work that I had done.
See you later. I'll see you later.
I remember my dad complaining about the fact that she never stopped speaking out. But that's who she was. It was okay when you're on stage. It's okay because you can let it all hang out. And then when the show ends and the lights go out, okay, let's put the monkey back in the cage and eat your banana and, just behave yourself. It was like she was penalized and punished for being herself. That's a very painful, lonely place to be.
Yeah, and rejected in the in the music community. She wasn't invited to all of the hot shows anymore because she was too militant. Mm-hmm. Then come the sex addict that comes out of her because of this sickness. It does bring out the sexuality of a person. So let's go there. The sex addict.
And a downward spiral. It just got worse and worse. We did a tour with Bill Cosby for the last night. She became erratic. She had a can of shoe polish. She was putting it in her hair. And she began talking gibberish, and she was totally out of it, incoherent. It appeared she was having a nervous breakdown. And when it came time to go on, I had to escort her by holding her arm onto the stage and sat her down at the piano. And I immediately stood in the wings on the opposite side where we could see one another. She's watching me pantomime, and she performed. Basically, she had no control over her emotions. And underneath it all, sex dominated her. There were times, once or twice a week, when there was a sex attack she goes into a maniacal rage. It had to be sex. I mean, this is driving her.
My attitude toward sex was that we should have it all the time.
How did Andy act towards you?
I just wanted him to move me sexually. He never was able to.
Right.
He didn't know how to touch me, and he never had enough time. He'd come to see me late at night and be there 2 hours and leave.
I knew that she was dating other people. We agreed that we could both have our own outside partners, but we would work together for the sake of the business and the child.
Convenient sex, and they had arrangements. They were swingers and almost, but this was to the point where she had to get. And I know couples. I've had this discussion with several people who are separated in their relationships, but they come together only for sex because they just did not want to do it with other people, and so they just came together just for that, and then they left. Okay, and whatever works for you, that works. But they would bring in other people. You know, they were able to date other people.
Hey man, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you do my wife for me, please? Please.
Take my wife, please.
Take my wife, please. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, man, she's getting on my nerves. You give her, shake her hand.
Yeah. And that's,
take my wife on a date because I don't be bothered with her.
That's the way it was. And when you're dealing with that dysfunction in a house, you make these dysfunctional arrangements as well. Both of them were crazy, as you heard from the daughter. Okay, I'm quoting the daughter. She says they both were crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say crazy, I'm not talking about the illness. I'm talking about the craziness.
The craziness,
the
but he
decisions.
may have suffered from something too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Go to O, child abuse. This is the daughter speaking now. It's getting out of control.
In my 7th grade year, Mom moved me to Liberia. But she was always traveling, and I never knew half the time if I wasn't going that she was leaving or when she was coming back. So I lived with a family for a year, and I went to school there. And I lived with them until Mom came and decided to buy a house on the beach. And I went from living with them to living with her. And I could never do anything right. She went from being my comfort to the monster in my life. Now she was the person that was doing the beating, and she was beating me. One time we were in public somewhere. I did something and she went off on me in front of everybody. And I didn't show any emotion because when Mom would see you cry, she knew she could push your buttons. That's what she wanted. And I would not give her that satisfaction. When she would hit me, I would look her dead in her face. And she you better cry. You better cry. I wouldn't do it. Times got really bad to the point where I thought about committing suicide. So when I was 14, I flew to New York. And I wound up living with my dad, and I never went back.
After we broke up, a lot of things happened. She didn't file taxes. She didn't take care of business. She lost the house in Mount Vernon. Everything went crazy.
She lived a nomadic life, having no manager, having no husband. But she always said living in Africa was the happiest time in her life. She could just be there, enjoy herself. She didn't have to sing at all.
She wasn't playing piano and she wasn't performing. She said she hated the piano. She hated it. Think about it. She's playing since she was 4 years old.
On the other hand, she was very well aware that in Africa no money came in, so she had to pick up her career again. She didn't want to return to what she called the United Snakes of America. So she moved to Switzerland, which was the complete opposite of Africa. And the first thing she did was a Montreux concert.
Notice how she hated the very thing that she
Once loved.
Once loved.
Yes.
And again, I've been there. I got to the point where I hated the organ. I hated the piano.
Me too.
I hated walking to church and have to sit on that thing.
I quit playing.
Yeah, and I did.
I quit.
Yeah, for a while.
I'm just starting back.
Yeah.
I get it now.
I get it. Because we had a family meeting one day, and I said to my grandmother, I said, my musical ability is both a blessing and a curse. And she says, I bind that difference. And my daddy stood up and says, my son is right. Right in front of everybody.
Yeah.
My son is right. She says, my dear, you don't understand. You're not a musician. You don't know the struggle and the pain and the dysfunction and the rejection.
Yes.
It is a curse to him. That's why he had such the life that he lived. A lot of times we are musically gifted and we were pushed into ministry.
Yes.
Nobody takes our hand and takes us along the way. Nobody trains us and counsel us and like they says push you, and then you become boy wonders, as we call them.
Yes.
And these boy wonders become popular around the world. They go home to dysfunctional situations, okay? And they're lonely. They live lonely lives.
Yes. And depending upon your makeup, you may not be able to handle. You all talked about at the beginning of the show about why does it seem like this is popular among, artists or musicians. But, you may not be able to handle all this pressure, like you said, that comes along with it.
Right.
But that's why I think it's so important to notice this stuff, to address it. And not just let it go untouched or, not even talked about, because it can get way out of control like this.
Yeah.
I would really love to do some research on Nina's daughter to see what, how
Google
she
her.
handles. I'm going to do that. I would love to see how she's handling life and what, how all this affected her.
Right.
You talked about that term yesterday, schizophrenic mother.
Right.
What effect does this have on her daughter now?
Absolutely.
There has to be some genes somewhere.
Yeah.
However, did her spawn out of a depression and it developed into that?
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because early on, she sounded like a happy child.
Right.
But later on discovered some of the meanness and the woes of the world.
But it does seem like that pressure came on early, though.
I believe it did.
The pressure to perform, yeah. I mean, we can look at child performers who end up flipping out. Look at Michael Jackson. The rest of the brothers are fine, so except for Jermaine and Randy. Hold on, well, the rest of them aren't fine. They all crazy. No, but the point is the pressure to perform without the balance of development, natural development.
But in addition to, I think she put that pressure on herself in the beginning. Because I don't see where else it came from. All I heard was that
it came from her playing with her mom, and it came from her wanting to be good.
I think she started that.
Okay, but when you're young and wanting to play and you realize you have skill set, you put pressure on yourself because you want to reach that goal to some degree.
Yeah.
But then there comes a balance. There comes something that has to balance you out, called life.
Absolutely.
If you're not careful, you have to have friends, musical friends who do other things in music too. Because no one will ask you to play football,
right?
If they know you play.
Yeah.
Sometimes your parents won't let you play anything else because they don't want you to hurt yourself or get injured, things like that.
Right.
I went through a season where I didn't want to play anymore. So somebody said, "Why'd you play?" Well, initially I said I was not going to be so busy playing that my children didn't know my name.
Okay.
They only knew me by name, rather. Number one. Number two, it was no longer fun. It used to be fun. When it stopped being fun, I said something has had to happen. Same with ministry. Because believe it or not, behind the pulpit, for many it's a skill set just like playing, and it's a performance.
Right.
And it's no longer fun. You get lost in it, and then the pressure of continuing to keep up appearances can wipe you out.
I believe it.
And you find yourself functioning but never ever being fruitful.
Yeah, that is true. See, here's in Wikipedia it says Simone had a reputation for volatility. In 1985, she fired a gun at a record company exec whom she accused of stealing royalties. Wow. Simone said she tried to kill him, but missed. In 1995, she shot and wounded her neighbor's son with an air gun after the boy's laughter disturbed her concentration. According to a biographer, Simone took medication for a condition from the mid-1960s. All this was only known to a small group of intimates and kept out of public view for many years until her biography, Breakdown and Let It All Out, written by Sylvia Hampton and David Nathan, revealed in 2004. And some of our presidents, like JFK and even Roosevelt, had sicknesses that America didn't know about until after their deaths. You know what I'm saying? Because they wasn't allowed to even film Roosevelt with a cane or walking. You never see him walking.
Right.
And JFK had the Alzheimer's or something like whatever that disease is, and another disease, and we didn't know about it until years after he was dead. But he suffered in pain for many years. This last file here, let's play On Medicine. I think it's P. And let's see what it's talking about.
Pretending you never saw the eye.
In Switzerland, and I had no money. I never got anything from Andy. He just cut himself off of me, and I was left high and dry. So I left Switzerland, and I went to Paris thinking that I could resume my career. I did it alone, and I landed in the wrong place. I was working every night in a small cafe for about $300 a night.
Vous parlez anglais?
No.
C'est fini ici.
Watch
no,
how she,
we just do. Vous êtes seul.
How she handles the public.
Vous êtes seul, mais je désire être avec vous.
I was desperate, and no one believed that I was there. I was too big to be there. No one came to see me, and I had fallen from grace. I'm sorry that I didn't become the world's first black classic pianist. I think I would have been happier. I'm not very happy now.
I wouldn't change being part of the civil rights movement. I wouldn't change that. But some of the songs that I sang have hurt my career. All of the controversial songs, the industry decided to punish me for. And they put a boycott on all my records. And it's hard for me to incorporate those songs anymore because they are not relevant to the times.
In terms of the civil rights movement, how far have we come?
There aren't any civil rights.
What do you mean?
There is no reason to sing those songs. Nothing is happening. There's no civil rights movement. Everybody's gone.
That's profound. In 1967, and I've been her friend all her life. She called me in 1982, and she was here in Paris, living in a very small apartment, hardly with any money. She did concerts of 4 hours long at Trois Maillets, that nightclub, and she got a few $100s a night. And that was the worst period. I visited her in that little apartment, and it was so dirty. I cleaned it all up, and Nina, you can't live like this. But at that moment, she was still uncontrollable. This thing in the Grand Hotel in Paris happened. Somebody looked her in the eyes a bit too long, and she was already a bit nervous, and she kind of made a movement that I thought she's going to hit him. So immediately, my arms around her, and I dragged her out in a taxi, and I said to the taxi driver, drive.
When I saw her in Paris, she was like a street urchin, dressed in rags. I couldn't believe what was happening. And I was really, really sad. Garrett and I, we knew something was very wrong. And we were trying to figure out, like, what is it? What is it really? So Garrett found her a condo in Nijmegen in Holland. And Garrett had a friend, a doctor, that he brought to Nina's place. And the doctor examined her and asked her questions, and he prescribed a medication which was kind of new spectrum, called Trilofan.
It wasn't until I was in my 20s and I went to visit her in Nijmegen. That's when I learned the term manic depressive and bipolar. And I remember asking, well, what is that? What do you mean by that? And her mood swings and a lot of the things that I dealt with earlier in life when, 1 minute she'd be happy and the next minute I'd be dealing with someone that wasn't in the room 5 minutes ago. It started to make sense.
She got so deep in the shit in the end that she realized it's either dying or give in. And she gave in because we said, Nina, we'll get you a house, we'll get you your musicians, we'll make the things all right around you, we'll book your concerts, but you have to do as we say. You have to take your medicine, you have to work. God have given you the possibility to be able to do what you do, so do it. The only thing we want to hear is either yes or no. And she said, with tears in her eyes, yes.
When I saw her, I was very concerned because she had a nervous tic. You know, she'd be talking or sitting and her mouth would always be twitching. And when she would walk, it was more of a shuffle. And I'm like, what's going on here? You know, why? What's going on? What am I missing? And they had her on medication.
She started taking the Trilofan, and the doctor said through the years it's going to have an effect on her motor skills. Her voice is going to start to slur, and her piano abilities will decline. You can deal with that, or you can deal with her probably damaging herself or someone else. But the Trilofan really helped. I mean, there were times in Holland sitting on her terrace in these lounge chairs and just holding hands. I mean, she was my sister. And not talking at all for hours, just enjoying the day.
And I suppose that medication enabled her to perform and fulfill the business dealings that were taking place so that her career could get back on track. But there were times when I questioned that, you know, but what about her heart? Because at the end of the day, you guys got wives and husbands and lives, but she's alone.
Yeah, we're going to get out of here. Guys, another show's getting ready to start. Thank you guys for coming. She suffered from breast cancer for several years before she died in her sleep in her house. She wasn't in America. She left us. She was tired of us like Michael Jackson. Go ahead and put in Pressure. Let that be my outro. Jonathan McReynolds, that is. Let it play us out and get out of here. Thank you, Welch. I appreciate you, man, for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
Last minute. I got you in here. Thank you, Annette, for coming by and being our professional for the day. And that's Alvin C. Carter laughing.
You need to get him something for that.
All right, go to Spreaker.com, y'all. Go to Spreaker.com tonight. You can hear the whole show again. All right? Pray for those who are dealing with this bipolar situation and go out and try and help as many people as you can.
Please
right?
Please
yes,
pray.
Yes,
and pray that I sell one of these poles.
Yeah.
I don't buy no more poles.
Yeah,
Bipolar.
No more.
Sell poles.
Yeah. All right. Gotta go, y'all. See you guys later. So Walter Jones Show.
Pressure to be someone else that the world has made. Jesus, take from me all the pressure to be someone that you did not create. Help me be me and only see you. Let me decrease in glory, fire you. Thought my intentions were good. Just act like a Christian should and hope that someone watching would approve and be inspired. But if you're not feeling my show, then how far could I go before all of my accomplishments go down in fire? Just cause all of the pressure to be someone that the church has made. Jesus, take from me all the pressure to be someone